Is that the perception you've had? Like, do you think that? I know the hours here that some of the negotiators work are pretty long. We arrive here at like 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning, and then you see them leaving at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning the next day. Sometimes if it's bad, but like, do you think that there is kind of an element where it's easy to be cynical about these talks?
I think you have to give them a little bit more credit, you see, because if you're doing it's constantly, you have like 4 or 5 conferences every year, and between those you have to evaluate the previous conference, prepare for the next one. So really those people are working pretty long hours all the time. So maybe it's a bit justified that they have the permission to fly around the world and maybe have a good reception day and a really good ending day with a party and stuff like that. So somewhere you have to give them credit for it. So.
Okay, and so we've come here to Tianjin. This is the latest big meetup, and I guess what are we going to achieve this week, do you think? And just in general terms, are we going to see progress? Are we going to go backwards? What Pat's so far?
The point is trying to not to go backwards. I mean, now they are discussing, like the KP yesterday was blocked for most of the time.
That's the Kyoto Protocol.
Sorry, yeah, it was the discussion on the Kyoto Protocol and the continuing of the Kyoto Protocol, and was blocked most of the time. And they asked for the intervention of the chair to try to solve to fix the problem, and I think that. We are lucky if we don't go backwards after Tianjin, and also after Cancun if we don't go backwards. I think we are lucky.
Okay, that's what we're aiming for, not to go backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
And would you agree? You think that we need to just hold steady for the time being and keep countries talking, or are there kind of more ambitious goals that we're aiming to achieve?
I think the best one is to have steady but slow but steady progress. So certainly there'll be probably 1 or 2 agreements on the minor points in the Cancun conference, but probably the majority will be solved in South Africa.
Okay, well, I want to ask you a little bit about your countries now, because we've spoken already to one of the other trackers, one of the other members of your team who's working with Adopt Negotiator, and she's following America, and we're saying that America are kind of often perceived as one of the bad boys in the talks, kind of holding things up. What about Italy and Russia? Like, do you have a progressive approach to these talks? Is your country helping move things along and have ambitious plans to deal with climate change, or are you holding things up? Andrea, what's Italy's stance here?
Well, when it comes to a state that is part of the European Union, it's really difficult to understand their position, because they can easily hide behind the European flag. They can European Union flag. They always say, okay, no, you have a common position, and only one is talking for all of us. So it's really hard to understand what's going on with your country. Italy this time is really not doing good at all. And it's slowing down the process. It's going to be. It is the bad guy for the European Union in this negotiation, as it was in Bonn a couple of months ago. So my country certainly should do something better and try not to slow down the negotiation, especially inside the European Union position.
So why is Italy holding things up?
Well, European Union position is just one, but inside they have not a fight, but they are having a disagreement right now. There are some more progressive countries like Germany, France, or the UK, and they have also other countries like Italy and the Eastern Bloc that are trying to slow down the progress, because for example, Italy now is trying to build 4 new nuclear plants, and we never had nuclear plants before. And also the Eastern European bloc, like Poland, they still wants to go on with coal, for example. So for them, it's not right now. It's not the best things to do to make this process faster, to cut the CO2 emission. So you have these countries that are asking, and they are happy with the 20% emission cut by 2020, and you have more progressive countries that want to achieve a 30% emission cut by 2020. So they have to figure it out inside the European position what is going to be the common position, and then they can start negotiating with the other countries.
And what about Russia? You've had these massive forest fires in the last this summer, and it got a lot of international attention. And I think, your president came out and said that he thought maybe there was a link to climate change. So what's Russia's position at these talks? Has the kind of the fires, have they changed attitude or the approach towards the negotiations?
Well, certainly I think it's the case that climate change has become not only a scientific but also a political and economic issue. And in case of Russia, it's always a little bit of a special case because of the country's isolation politically and because of its size and diversity in terms of ecosystems. So yes, the president actually is quite confident that climate change is happening, that it needs to be prevented and that there should be measures taken. So Russia's position at the moment is to be heavy on energy efficiency to also achieve the target of emissions reductions by 2020.
Okay, and now you guys you're obviously passionate about this, and you give up your time to come and volunteer here to track your negotiators, and it's not like you're being paid vast sums of money or anything. So clearly it means a lot to you. Are you representative of people in your country, or are there lots of young people kind of wandering around who are really fired up about climate change and who see that it's an important issue, or is the kind of young people on the whole less engaged, do you think?
Well, you can see that things are changing and always more and more people are getting more involved. But still, I don't think it's enough. And I think that it should be done a lot more to make this issue and like a clear I don't know how can I say, but to get more people involved. For sure, it's not enough.
And what about in Russia? Lots of young people care about the global warming crisis or the climate change crisis?
Actually, it's amazing. There's not a large group, but the group that exists, it is mainly young people. So I think part of the reason I'm here is to give an example that I care about it, that young people can change things, and to kind of, I agree with Andrea, to make it more popular, to spread the word and basically have more people involved.
And how do you do that? How do you talk to people about climate change in a way that helps them understand the problems and helps motivate them to do something about it? Because I think lots of people have very strong feelings about climate change, at least in Europe and in America. It seems like people are either they think it's absolute crap and they hate it and they feel that it's a conspiracy, or they feel that it's happening and you get people who are quite passionate about it. How do you kind of cross that divide and how do you talk to these people?
Well, the problem is right. I mean, like when you talk about climate change in Italy, at least until a couple of years ago, it was seen as a radical subject for just a Greenpeace fan or something like that. And you should try to break this concept and try with education to make understand to the people all the links that is between climate change, the economic area, the social area, and all the interdisciplinarity of the subject, to make them understand that it's not just about environment. And I think that education is the best thing you can do. At least like a presentation in the school, for example, can help. Why not to put it as a matter like a subject inside the schools, and also I don't know, to approach it also in a more funny way, maybe also from our TVs or newspaper, not just like, oh, this is serious things, we all gonna die, and like this. Maybe this scares people, and we don't want to do that.
And you say it's trying to make it a bit more funny. It's a difficult subject to make funny sometimes. But what are the positive things that we can look for? Because in China here, a big difference that I've noticed is that lots of people see it as well as a threat. So rather than worrying about the impacts of climate change, which they certainly do, but rather than only focusing on that, they're talking about the economy and the potential to earn huge amounts of money and to lead the way into the future. Is that something? Is that like is that a discussion which is happening in your countries? Is Russia looking to make the most of the opportunities here and to invest in renewable energies and to lead a new green economy?
Well, in terms of energy, yes, there actually at the moment there's huge political action and investment into the energy efficiency and green energy and ways of achieving that. In terms of people, I think I can agree with Andrea that there needs to be more education, more maybe fun events, sort of where people can come, where they know they'll be getting information and they can make their own input, so that so it becomes personal, so that they feel they contribute to something happening.
So in Italy, then, is a positive narrative happening as well?
Well, yeah. I mean, like they recognize there is climate change and they try to solve it with nuclear power. So that's maybe not the right way to do it. Like they're not investing in renewable resources, but we're investing in nuclear, and it's crazy because that's just a choice that it's linked to the past. Because all the other countries that invest in nuclear, they did it 30 years ago, and we are doing it right now. We are a nuclear-free country, and they're just going to transform in another nuclear country. We get energy from the nuclear, and in 2010. I think it's really stupid, and it's like we are going really backward. Like,
okay, so
stupid.
if you're not keen on nuclear, or if you're worried about this, what is the future? If you could, well, maybe this is a nice kind of note to finish the show on. If you've got some kind of like positive conception of what you'd like your future to be, and how you'd like your country's policies to change, and what you'd like them to do. What would happen? What kind of investments? What kind of society would you have? Like, what are you guys aiming for in an ideal world here? A big question. I'm going to put it to Stacey first.
I think the most important thing is, apart from everything else, to just say it in general, is that I hope that people will get past all the political issues and economic incentives and gains to really stand each other, to take each other's hands and say, okay, we're gonna do that together.
Okay, it's a big ask. And Andrea, what kind of society do you want in Italy, and what kind of technologies do you want to see being used?
Well, for me, it's not just a matter of renewable energy, but it's also a matter of like saving energy. Like the way of in which we live is really, we spend a huge amount of energy that we don't need to use. We are using a lot of stuff that we don't really need. So maybe we just want to go back to a more simple way of living, which we do a better use of energy, not just the use of green energy. It's not just about where the energy comes from, but also about the use that you make of it. So that's my idea. Just go back to a more simple way to live, and we're gonna be.
But what does this mean? Are we going to be living in caves again with candles?
No. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's just that, like sometimes we are like, seriously, we don't need like. In Italy, we have the highest number of mobiles in the world per capita, and everybody, all the people that I know, we have 3 mobiles. We don't really need 3 mobiles, for example. Or like every family has 3 cars, and there are 2 or 3 people. We don't really need this kind of things.
So what's the alternative? Are you going to have one mobile and a bus? Is that the?
Well, maybe a mobile with 2 SIM cards on it is even better than just 2 mobiles. So it just to cut the things that we don't really need, and that's. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not that we have to go like as we were living like 100 years ago. We have to have all the technology we need, but just use it more wisely. Like, and we will appreciate it, the life that we're gonna have, I think.
Okay, maybe that's a nice note to draw to a close on. You'll be able to see some of the highlights from this morning's show in our evening show broadcast from the UK, and we'll join you again in a few hours from Tianjin here in China. So Andrea, thank you very much for joining us, and Stacey as well, and we'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Thanks very much.